What's that? Oh,
Oh yeah, yeah.
oh,
We good. We live now though, so we good. We about to have some fun with it. Let's do this. Making sure. So we good on that front. Good on that front. So I do believe we are live. Yes. You feel all right?
hey, how you all doing tonight, man? It's the
Good.
I Got Sense Investment Advisor here with the self-employed tax guy. We about to talk about some investments tonight.
Hey, look at him already doing it. That's what I'm
Hey,
talking about.
I'm trying not to take over.
Hey, you came for the takeover. That's
Oh
what we
man,
doing. You came for the takeover, man. I'm so glad you here. Welcome, family. What is going on? Of course, to the Family Fun Friday, fellas. Financial Friday. I always get that mixed up, right?
Hey.
Because we family, we plan to have fun. It's Friday, and we're gonna talk about finances. So that is what we are here to do. As promised, Mr. Chyon Simmons is in the building from I Got Sense Financials here to give us all the information. But of course, as always, I want to make sure that you can hear us and see us. So if you can hear us and see us, make sure to put some things in the chat. Seeing everybody join in, Mr. Gimme Cornbread, who so shockingly surprised me. I know who that is. All this time, been under the auspice of somebody else's name, and finally she revealed herself and shocked me. Right, Van Hennessy in the building. What's going on? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Everybody's coming in the chat, man. So glad to see everybody. So I'm assuming that you can both hear us and see us. So glad. But before we get into tonight, which is, as I said in the introduction, right? The thought is we should be more than just working to pay our bills, right? And that was something that I stole from Mr. Simmons himself when we were discussing about what we talking about doing more, right, than just going to work, paying your bills. Like, we really got to invest in our future, leave legacies behind, get things done, and be good to go. So that's what we're here to talk about. Before we get into that, of course, let me go ahead and bring in the intro video, and then we'll be back.
okay.
Telling me he look good. He look good, right? Yeah, yeah, you good. He's superstar right now, man. Yeah, so again, welcome back to the show. I'm super excited, man, to have a special guest in the building for the first time, man. You're the first person to do live. This is history. The first person to do live with me, man. So this is good.
Man, I appreciate being here. I really appreciate the invitation.
Yeah.
Big shout out to John Phillips introducing us to each other.
Yes. Big
and
shout out to John Phillips, Create Simple Meals.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're all on the same page about us brothers starting to collaborate more.
Yeah,
Working
for sure.
with each other, building. It's enough out here for us all to eat together.
It is.
You know what I'm saying? And
It is.
I definitely have built my whole career sharing knowledge.
Good,
You know
man.
what I'm
So
saying?
good.
All my information advisement is always for free. But if you want me to do the work, it's going to cost you.
All right. Before we get too deep, man, introducing for those of you who are just coming on to the show, my name is Tyrone Gregory, your favorite uncle, cousin, the self-employed tax guy, and I am again joined with me, special guest, so excited, Mr. Chyon Simmons of IGotSense.com, financial advisor, guru, man, multiple businesses, multiple talents. I got dressed up for him, and he came in here casual. Because every time I see him, he's suited and booted. I was like, well, I got I can't come with a T-shirt today, and he coming here relaxed and chilling. So I know he about to give it to us. Look at it.
Well, no, you know now when I'm out making money, I got to go ahead and put on the suit and tie and handle that business.
Gotcha.
But if I'm not out handling business, man, I'm usually casual, laid back under the radar. So today I threw on my Fred and Lamont, my favorite T-shirt here.
Cool.
But like I said, it's definitely a pleasure to be over here today. I am Chyon Simmons, the I Got Sense Investment Advisor, and I am the licensed investment advisor with all the correct advisement and information for you. Don't be listening to them other folks out there. They trying to sell you a product or a dream that doesn't exist.
Gotcha. Well, let me turn and see if I can maybe turn your mic up.
Okay.
Yeah, so y'all let me know if I know you said there was some audio, but if y'all can hear us now, by all means,
Do I need to
please
get
make
closer
sure.
to the mic? What
Well, I
about
mean, I
now?
want you to be
Sound good?
comfortable.
Okay,
You
I'm
know, you can
comfortable.
grab it. You know, however you need to do to get busy there. Also in the building, right? We can't leave out his producer, right? In the show, we want to make sure everybody's in the building. So you got to come walk around.
Oh man, that's Andre Crenshaw. That's not my producer. That's my podcast partner at here,
Oh, okay,
50-50.
okay, yeah, yeah. He got to say what's up. He helping out in the building, right?
The
So
new school.
the new school,
The
right?
new
So
school.
we bridging the old
Yeah,
and the new, right? The old
absolutely.
school thought, new school philosophy, right?
I don't know much about this technology except how to go on Facebook. Everything else, Andre handles that stuff.
Gotcha, gotcha.
And that's
well,
why
man.
we have a great partnership because that's also a part of my whole thing as well. Transferring the knowledge, sharing the knowledge,
Okay.
and always trying to help another brother out. Andre is an entrepreneur. We've
Okay.
been working together for the last 4 years, I believe, and I believe in what he's doing. I've seen a lot of his work. Great product when it comes to videography and digital
Okay.
video type stuff. And so we got together and decided to collaborate. And we've been working on the I Got Sense podcast.
Wow, coming soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, man.
We've been up and running, but I've already learned so much from him about it. And like one of the things we learned is about having the content and being able to be reliable and being consistent. So
Gotcha.
before we go live with the podcast, he made me sit down and write out the script for 20 episodes. We need 2 seasons worth of work.
Oh, wow.
I worked
okay.
on all of that stuff. And then we sit down and record them whenever we can get them in.
Gotcha.
And so when we do go live, we will be consistent not only with the advertising and putting the teasers out there to get everybody tuned in, but when we start dropping them, they will be on schedule, you know, either on a weekly or a monthly basis.
Right.
And we will try to also release them in collaboration with what's going on in the world's current events, so make it really relevant. So like I said, I can't give Andre enough praise because I have the content and the knowledge because I'm a fat old dude. But the new school, he's bringing the technology, and that's the gap that we often have between generations where us old heads, we want it to be a one-way conversation.
Right.
But just as much as I'm trying to mentor him, he's mentoring me too. And this here kind of carries over into even my personal life with my children. For a long time, because I was the breadwinner and I was the head of the house, so I thought it was a one-way conversation. But man, the skies are open up and more sunlight will come through when you start listening to your kids too, because they bring a lot of that new element, and that's exactly what I'm doing with Andre.
Cool, cool. We're so happy to have you here, man. We appreciate that, man. And you know, even though we talking about finance tonight, the fact that what everything you just said, man, what makes me want to have a conversation about business, because how you planning it out, how he forced you to really sit down and get that. I ain't gonna get started on that because maybe both of y'all to come back and we'll do this conversation again about structuring a business so when you launch, you don't fall flat.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? So man, you here, right?
Okay.
I've been talking about you since we've been talking about over these last couple of weeks about building wealth, you know, multiple streams of income, trying to really educate ourselves to have a money management mindset, right?
Right.
And so you here being a licensed financial planner, you have multiple businesses that you own. You've worked for some big name firms. You've done some great things, man. Your portfolio itself is beautiful, and the fact that you are here to kind of share some of those things with us, man, I can never really thank you enough, man. For both behalf of me and the family that's watching here tonight, just want to thank you for being here. And I know I gave you some questions. I'm still just
Okay, go right ahead, man.
I had some questions I gotta ask the guru. I have to write them down. I didn't want to slip on here.
Man, I appreciate all the love and kind words you're giving me, man. I really, really do, and it's a blessing to be in the position that I'm in, to give back the way I try to give back.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest successes I have as being an investment advisor is making the money and the commission. That's the least priority for me.
Gotcha.
So I literally sit down and work with each and every client individually. I take a look at their situation from start to end, and then I see what their goals and objectives are, and then I come up with a customized financial solution for them to get to where they want to be and hit those targets and goals. And what I tell people all the time is, look here, you might have got referred to me, and I know the other person has probably spoken highly of me, and then we've gotten them some tremendous results. But their situation is not your situation. You know, their age may be different, their time horizon may be different. They have different plans for retirement or when they want to retire. So let's not focus on me replicating what I've done for someone else. Let's sit down and look at your situation, and let's get you in a position where you could succeed and hit your goals.
Man,
and that's where I had most of my success at.
Good, man. So I'm going to hit you with the first question.
Absolutely.
Then, man. Because like I said, I was talking about it, but I think I was just giving some very generic, very broad, blanketed type of things just to kind of be the catalyst for the conversation. But specifically, one of the questions I wanted to ask tonight is, what types of investments should a newbie look to get into? Is it really just that simple as say, oh, yeah, I'm going to download the Robinhood app, throw some money on there, and invest? Or is there something specific, especially, again, if we're new to the game, we never invested, we hear about stocks, that's how people make money, but when we want to get into it ourselves as newbies, what types of investments, or where should we begin?
Where you should begin is with a financial foundation. And so I preach this to people, and it sounds so simple, yet it seems like it's almost impossible for most people to go out and execute. And I shared with you some of my notes before that managing money and investing is 80% behavior and only 20% knowledge. So the stuff that I'm saying, it sounds simple, and you think you can do it, but when it goes time to execute, you simply don't do it. So for a newbie, what I would recommend is that you have to put yourself into position to be successful. And when it comes to investing, most investments are not going to yield you the results you want for somewhere between 3 to 5 years, preferably 7 years. Really? Investing is a long-term goal. So jumping in and jumping out, that sounds good in theory. It's not happening that way, my brother. You see a lot of people on social media saying they did it, and if they did, I applaud them. But in most instances, people that are trying to time the market, they're going to lose their shirt. It just doesn't happen that way, because if I could predict the market, or any of these other people that could predict the market like they say they would be, well, they definitely wouldn't be on Facebook trying to sell us some product to teach us how to do it. You know what I'm saying? They'd own their own island somewhere and be flying around in a private jet.
If it was just that easy.
So, yeah, you have to build a foundation. And what I mean by the foundation is you have to be comfortable once you make the investment to let the investment do what it's going to do. Now, the way you do that is you make sure you have steady income coming in. Can you take care of yourself? Can you take care of your family? Can you get your rent or your mortgage paid? Can you keep your car note paid, keep gas in your car, keep food on the table? In addition to that, now if something comes up that happens in life, because it's not a matter of if, it's when. Life is going to happen. Yeah. The car is going to break down. The refrigerator is going to go out. Somebody's going to have to go to the emergency room, things of that nature. And oftentimes we don't even budget for that type of stuff. So when you have an investment out there, however, you don't have the foundation to take care of the basics, you may give me $500 on Monday to invest, and we've talked about, hey, we're going to let this thing ride, and maybe you can put 25 in there every month, and over 5 years it's going to grow to a nice little bank for you. But if you come back to me Thursday saying you need that 500 back because you got to put tires on your car, now when I give it back to you, minus all the fees and the transactions that go along with the investing game, I'm giving you only $350 back. Now you out here bad mouthing me saying I'm a crook, and it's a conspiracy to hold a brother down. So like I said, for newbies, get your financial foundation together so that when you put the money into the investment, you can leave the investment alone and go let it do what it do.
Okay. So going to just piggyback on that. So it's not necessarily when you first beginning, you don't need to really kind of look into a type of investments I'm going to get into. You really need to look at yourself and be like, and can I do this? Like, am I in a financial position as to where you say, I'm gonna give you $500 today,
Right.
and I don't need that back next week.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
as a newbie, that is the first thing we need to do is get our house in order per se, right? So to speak.
That's the very first thing you should do. And then once you get that in order, now what I'm going to talk to you about is getting your savings together, because there are different levels to savings. And you and I talked about this here earlier when I got here. Just something as simple as your deductible on your car insurance.
Right.
We all know that when we go get car insurance, the agent typically says, do you want your deductible to be 250, 500, or 1,000? Well, if you set it at 250, your premium is going to be higher every month. If you go up to 500, it's going to come down a little bit. If you can set your deductible at 1,000, then you're going to get the lowest premium possible. However, if you ever have to file a claim, you have to come up with that $1,000 right away. If you don't come up with that $1,000 the day they say your car is ready, now they charging you $35 a day for storage fee because you didn't come get the car back. So something as simple as having $1,000 set aside just so you have the reassurance that I can go back and tell my insurance agent for my auto insurance, homeowners insurance, or whatever kind of insurance you have, give me that $1,000 deductible because I want the lowest monthly premium as possible. And with that lowest monthly premium as possible, that's more money you're keeping in your pocket. So that's like just the first level of savings, and also having another $1,000 for those holidays that we talked about. Remember, we talked about those holidays. We don't even realize it. We all understand what a budget is, but when we go in and map out our budget, nobody maps out ML King holiday when we want to go get a fresh outfit. Nobody puts in Valentine's Day, Easter, 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Thanksgiving, all of that stuff. And we haven't even gotten to the birthdays, the anniversaries. So there's so many other miscellaneous things that come up throughout the year. Everything is commercialized now. That's not in your budget. So if you don't have it in your budget, and then you don't have $1,000 set over in your savings account so that you can go grab $40 or $60 whenever you need to go out and have a Valentine's Day dinner, or to grab the wife some candies for a celebration or whatever, you end up either pinching off your rent or a bill that's supposed to be paid. Now you're late on that, or you end up swiping the credit card. Now you're running up your credit, and now you're going to be burdened with making that monthly payment. So little simple things like that. These are the things that I tell people. You have to also manage your debt, maintain your budget so that you always have more money coming in than going out. And then after you can take care of all of that, let's start working on an emergency fund. And that emergency fund is where you want to take anywhere from 6 months times 12 months your monthly take-home pay, because you need that safety net there. And this is a casebook study now with this here COVID-19 thing going on.
Yes.
Look how many people out of work now. We're on month 4 now. We've been going since March. There are a lot of people out there that haven't gotten a paycheck. And so now we're sitting around yelling and screaming about what the government didn't do and how, minimum wage is not enough. And I'm like, I agree with all of that stuff. However, if you put yourself in a position where you have that emergency fund where you can cover 6 months to 12 months worth of your income, if something goes wrong, such as this here COVID, or, maybe Big Mama gets sick and you need to take a leave of absence from the job and go back home, and you can kind of nurse her back, or you might get sick, something to that nature. That safety net will allow you to still be able to maintain your household by paying bills without the desperation. Because once you lose that income coming in, and now you're worried about the end of the month coming, and rent is due, car note is due, mouths need to be fed, all those types of things. When your back gets against the wall like that, you start looking at some desperation things that you're willing to do. And a lot of our brothers and sisters get caught up in that situation now. So you have to have and I'm talking about all these things that I'm talking about now, these are all a part of that financial foundation that I want you to work on putting in place, because trust me, my brother, when you put that foundation in place, you got your steady income, you got all your insurance taken care of, you got $1,000 sitting over in your savings account, and you can go grab you a steak and shrimp dinner whenever you want to. You got 6 to 12 months worth of emergency money. when you wake up in the morning and step out of the bed and start your day off, you're not as grumpy. You know what I'm
Gotcha.
saying?
Right,
When
right,
you're
right.
driving to work or on the bus, you're not as irritated with everything going on around you. Them fools at work that you don't like, that get on your nerves all the time, you're a little bit more tolerant because life is good and now you're in that place of comfort. But when you're walking that thin line of being broke and hopeless and not knowing where your next paycheck is going to come from, man, you might make that call over there to Doc Boogie and make that run down the freeway that gets you caught up for 10 years. And a lot of brothers get caught up in that. I mean, half of my family has been in that predicament. So I've had that moniker, I got sense, for a long time because from early on, I kind of figured out from looking at my own family, I don't really know what I'm going to do in my life, but looking at my uncles and my cousins and all of them other folks over there, I ain't trying to do that over there. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. So in summary, it sounds like even for newbies, man, it seems like there's like maybe like a 3-tier step. One, right? First, get yourself positioned where you're comfortable.
Right.
Right. And then once you get yourself positioned where you're comfortable, then put yourself in a position where you actually have savings.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely.
So you peace of mind at night.
Absolutely.
And then once you have that position of savings, then you can look into now that I'm one financially, my foundation is secure. I got a little savings so I can breathe a little bit. Now I can play with something.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
once you get to that position, now you're not calling me every 15 minutes because I done had some investors out there that turn over $1,000 to me and they trying to check with me at lunch every day and the end of the day to make sure their money is still there.
Really?
And so but I mean those are people that are like in situations where they really didn't have that money to put out there in the first place, or they just very risk averse.
Well, speaking on that, I mean, wouldn't that? I mean, because sometimes we reward right risk because there's the saying, no risk, no reward.
Right.
So what about the individuals that do that? Right, like they don't. What if they make that sacrifice to try to put something in just so they can get started? I mean, are you saying you don't really agree with that philosophy?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that if you put your money into an investment, you should already be of the mindset that this is for the long term.
Okay.
And oftentimes people don't kind of see it that way.
Gotcha.
And they want to come back and kind of, keep their finger on your pulse to make sure they haven't lost their money, or they're listening to somebody on the news or down at the hair salon or whatever, telling all these here wild stories. And that's why I'm the licensed investment advisor, and that's why I can go out to the public and give advisement on what you should or shouldn't do when it comes to investment types.
Gotcha.
Those celebrities, those politicians, and Big Mama and that 50-year-old uncle that's still living in the back room with Big Mama, those are usually the people we get our financial education from, and they're way off point because those folks either don't know any better or they're going by what worked for them. And oftentimes what worked for somebody else, it's not necessarily that it's no good or I don't agree with it. It's just that for whatever reason, all the stars aligned and it worked out for them.
Gotcha.
But, that's kind of like we're out here in Southern California now, and we could walk outside and find about 50 people right now that'll tell you that they can drive from L.A. to Las Vegas in 3 hours. Well, absolutely, you can if you leave at 3 in the morning and you drive 95 miles per hour and you don't get stopped by the police on the way there.
Right.
But generally speaking, it's going to take 4.5 to 5.5 hours to drive from here to Vegas due to the traffic and everything going on, and
right.
270 miles. But that one person that did it one time in 3 hours, he's going to be at the barber shop and everywhere else on the mountaintop in the megaphone yelling and screaming, that's the way to go. And so it's my job to come in and really assess people's situation and find something that's suitable for them. So like getting back to the newbie, once they've put a foundation in place or they're at least working on that foundation, I try to get them started out with a mutual fund. And a mutual fund is not necessarily an individual stock. You're actually putting your money and pooling it with someone else and giving it to a professionally managed company, and the experts over there, they're managing that, and they're putting a whole bunch of different stocks in there, and that's what they call diversifying. So you're not
Okay.
putting all your eggs in one basket. So if I'm in a mutual fund and I say this mutual fund here is gonna shadow the S&P 500, so we're gonna take a little bit of the money and we're gonna buy some Apple stock, and then we're gonna get a little bit of Facebook. We're gonna get a little bit of Visa. We're gonna get a little bit of Chase Bank. We're gonna get a little bit of utility company, and so
Okay.
the money is kind of spread out. So the likelihood of the entire stock market crashing all in one day in all those different areas is highly unlikely. So
Gotcha.
if
Gotcha.
technology goes down low one day, maybe the utility industry went up that day, and they kind of offset each other. So that's kind of like what I would tell a newbie to do. Start out with the mutual fund. You have professionals that sit over and all they do is manage that all day long. I'm an investment advisor. I'm sitting there monitoring them and what they're doing, and I'm looking at how the market is performing as well.
Okay.
And if you can commit to, something as little as $100 to start out and $50 of putting money into it over the course of 12 months, you'll see substantially that this is working out a whole lot better than a savings account.
Gotcha.
So that's
Gotcha.
that's how I try to get the newbies started. But while they're getting started in that stuff, a lot of my investment advisement includes the educational piece, cause that's my whole thing. That's why I got Sense Investment Advisor, because I'm more so about teaching the economic literacy and making sure you have the financial education that you need to
Good,
know and
good,
understand
good,
that
good.
what I'm telling you is accurate, or at least it sounds right. And
Right.
then if it doesn't sound right, you know where you can go look to kind of read and find out for yourself and kind of reconcile with what I'm saying. Because I tell people, even when you're dealing with me, trust what I'm saying, but verify. Hold me accountable too.
Yeah, same here. I say the same thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I say the same
So
thing.
that's what I tell newbies. Let's start out with a mutual fund, and once you see how it works, once you start getting your statements, and then you start doing some of the homework that I'm going to teach you about doing, go look on Yahoo Finance, go look in Wikipedia, read about this here, go look over here at these things here. Now do you see what I'm saying and how that matches up with what you're reading? Once we do all of those types of things, and then they kind of get it. Some people get it within a month. Some people take 3 or 4 years. Some people say, you know what, I'm over here perfecting my own craft. I ain't got time for that. I just want you to handle it and you deal with it. I'm not even worried about that. So I get a wide variety of that, but I try to get the newbies to start out with the mutual funds, and then if they're comfortable and they want to do a little bit more, then we get them set up with going over and starting to look at the individual stocks and investing in those individual stocks.
Okay, good, good, man. So we got comments. I do believe you've already pretty much answered here, man. But I wanted to make sure that we send it to the screen. So, good friend Maria said, what would be a good amount to put in as a first time? And I think you actually kind of touched on that. Minimum $100, something like that could even be a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. So now, selling mutual funds and getting started in those investments, you can do it on yourself. Yeah, I mean, you can do it by yourself. You don't even need an investment advisor. The problem with it is when you try to do it yourself directly with the mutual fund company or the wholesale broker, oftentimes they have minimum requirements.
Okay.
So a lot of the investment mutual funds that I have with the big name folks like Franklin Templeton, Investco, Legg Mason, American Fund, Fidelity, Vanguard, all of those big time names there.
Yeah.
When you go to them directly, they're going to say, well, if you want to get in this fund here, you need a minimum initial investment, $2,500, sometimes $5,000.
Wow.
Some of the more popular ones, $10,000 and even up to $25,000. However, when you come through an investment advisor like me, if I have it in my menu of options that I can offer you, I can get you started for as little as an initial of $100. And then
Okay.
you can do monthly contributions for as little as $50. But to answer the viewer's question specifically, the amount that you can put in or you should put in, that really depends on your unique situation. So
Okay.
if you can afford to put $100 in a month, that's great. However, if that 100 is going to choke you out and now you making decisions on whether or not to get gas in your car or eat that night, then 100 isn't a good deal for your situation.
Right.
So like I say, I always customize it, and there's no one answer that fits all. The only thing I can say is that at a minimum to get you started, you would need $100 initially to get started, and then a minimum of $50 to go forward after that. And like for college students, I think we can do it for as little as $25 a month going on.
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Well, that's good. So whatever, I mean, from what I'm picking up, man, whenever you talk about investments, don't give something that you're going to need right back.
Absolutely.
Bottom line.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
Right. And so what people get mixed up a lot of times is they don't understand all the financial products and services out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I always say I demystify all that complexity. I put it in this here plain old country English that you all hear me talk now. so the first thing I tell people, the product that you're dealing with is either going to be a FDIC secured product or it's going to be a securities product. FDIC insured, that means it's a bank product, and if for whatever reason that bank goes under, the government would guarantee your money back up to $250,000. So FDIC insured, that's a checking account, savings account,
like CDs and things like that.
CDs, money market. So those, the banks can give you a guaranteed percentage rate. Now they're robbing you blind. They're only going to give you, like on a checking account, you're getting 0. On a savings account, you're getting probably 0.006%. On a CD, you might be getting a little over 1%. But for those FDIC insured products, you can get a guaranteed fixed interest rate of what you're going to earn on your money.
Gotcha.
Now, when you get to a securities investment, that means your money is at risk because it's somehow, some way invested in an investment or it's in the stock market. And so the cardinal rule with securities investments is that if anybody tells you that they can guarantee you a percentage rate on a securities investment, you should turn and run like somebody in the food court shooting a gun at the mall, because you cannot guarantee no set amount of interest off a securities investment. And I'll qualify that by saying, if you're thinking about an annuity is not even a securities investment, that falls up under a contract, and that's more so of a bank product than a securities investment. So you can't guarantee any interest rate on any type of securities investment.
Gotcha. Okay, who said something here? I think good friend Gimme Cornbread was just kind of giving sentiment, right? Said that she paid off all her consumer debt, socked away several months of living expenses, and she feels good.
Absolutely.
Because she knows she has that degree of financial freedom. Good. And I think
absolutely.
Maria asked another question.
Give Cornbread a hand clap.
Yeah,
that,
we want to give her a high five for that.
High five.
High five. Give her something. You know what I'm saying? She validate what I'm saying. I know I'm country sounding, but what I'm talking about, I know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha. And like I said, Maria, she had a question interested in the mutual fund and how that's taxed. Do we report it on taxes? And that's a good thing because you also are a tax preparer.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So on the mutual funds, so this is the thing with investments also. You have what you call a realized gain, and then you have an unrealized gain.
Right.
The realized gain means that you did a transaction and you either made a gain or you made a loss, and whatever that gain or loss is, it gets reported to you. And when you go to prepare your taxes, you have to turn in that document. It's usually a Schedule B or a 1099, something to that degree.
Yeah.
And you have to claim that. However, if it's unrealized, that means that it's just on paper. So if you have an investment today and you have 50 shares and the per share price is $2, that's what's 2 times 50? That's $100, right?
Yeah.
But if something good in the market happens and then your price goes up to $6 per share, now your $100 share investment just went up to $300 because now that's $6 times 50 is $300.
Right.
But as long as you don't cash it out, that's unrealized. It means absolutely nothing, but you just feel like you made a little bit of money.
Okay.
So, and so typically, though, with the mutual funds at the end of the year, if they pay dividends, they will typically send that money back to you in the form of a check, or if you've elected to have it reinvested into that investment, it'll buy you more shares. But because it is a dividend and it got you more shares, or the money was sent to you, that's realized as well. And so you do have to pay taxes on that.
Okay.
Now, on another show, or if you want to talk to me more specifically, we can really get into the nuances, because if you want to avoid fees, then, there are mutual funds that are Class A, Class C, Class R, and those are different fee structures for those things. But that's kind of like for some advanced stuff.
Ooh, good stuff, boy. Good stuff. I'm talking about that.
Am I answering their questions, or am I just over here rambling on, man?
So Sketchy to Design is in the building. Definitely gave a congratulations to Give Me Cornbread again.
High five.
Another high five for her for getting that savings and doing, man. We just
Absolutely. And can I jump in here also and say this here? Speaking to what the viewer said about paying a debt off. In all actuality, that's why I harp a lot about managing your debt also, as you try to get into the investing, because as you get into the investments, the mutual funds on average, they're going to probably net you somewhere between 6 to 14% on average. In some good years, you're going to have some that take off and do 38%. Some of them will do 90, even more than that. But generally speaking, you'll get 6 to 14%. However, if you have a whole bunch of credit card debt, those credit cards are charging you 21%, 29%, some of them 35%. So actually paying off your credit card debt, you're actually making more money by paying off that debt than actually investing, because why would you want to invest and only earn 12%, but then you're getting your credit card balance every month and they're charging you 35% interest? You're still going backwards there. You know what I'm saying? That's a bucket with a hole in the bottom of it. So if you really want to maximize the situation, get rid of the credit card debt first with those high interest rates, and then start investing and start building that way. But if you're investing and earning less of a percentage on your investment than you're actually paying out in consumer debt, you're still going backwards.
Man, I feel like that right there, we talk about money management. Well, I talk about money management as a mentality, man. I think you're going to have to come back, because you giving out specific strategies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, I don't know if we really have those type of discussions, or we even look at things that way, right? Like, don't invest. Like, not to say don't invest, but clearing your debt is a form of investment.
Absolutely.
But we would never thought about that. Like you said, a bucket with a hole in it. Yeah, you thinking you putting it in, but on the back end it's leaking.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Man, wow, I appreciate that.
And that's part of that financial foundation. And I've talked to you about how many investment clients I have, and they they all roll their eyes at me and they smack their lips and they get tired of listening to me harp. But at the end of the day, they giving me high fives and saying I really appreciate that, because in the grand scheme of things, like we talked about, this is 80% behavior, 20% knowledge. What most people really need is they need an accountability coach. And I'm more so like that accountability coach. And I call them on, the BS.
Right.
I'm like, hey, you talked to me about this, that, and that, and you wanted to do this, and you was going to do this here. But I see you riding on them things, and I see you got a gold chain around your neck. I thought we talked about you was going to do some other stuff. So, I mean, if you're not ready, I understand. I'm not mad at you, but then don't waste my time. You know what I'm saying? Don't come pee on my leg and look in my face and tell me that it's raining. If you're not ready to invest, you're not ready to invest. Go live your best life.
Man. So speaking of that actually brings me to the next question. When we talk about research, right? Like, how do we know what to look into? Like, how do we know to compare our paying off credit card debt is actually going to be more beneficial than investing in a mutual fund? Like, where do we start to pick up that mentality? Like, I know it's a learning curve, right? Like, this is all new, right? The terms and everything, but where do we even start to gain that type of mentality?
I think you have to gain that type of mentality by just looking at the premise of you always have to have more coming in than going out. And we talked about this here. The numbers don't lie. money has no emotions at all. When you sit down and you say, I got $100 and I'm spending 90, that means it's $10 left over. But if you have $100, but you got 170 going out, you know, you $70 in the hole. And so we have to kind of take a look at it from that standpoint. And we as a race of people, what we have a big problem about with is we are always private. We don't want nobody in our business. I wish I could do that, or I can do the I don't want nobody in my business foolishness, but that really means that you over there doing some stuff that you know you really shouldn't be doing. So if we be open and transparent and honest with ourselves, look at the numbers, sit there and have the conversation with your significant other, involve your kids. If they're of age, if they're at least in the 6th grade, involve them in the conversation and say, hey, this is actually what we have right here. This is the amount of money we have, and this is what we have to get covered. You know, so you talking about your friends and everybody on the basketball team got the Jordans, and you don't want these here old, you know, off the rack $40 last season Nikes. Ain't gonna, you know, hey, at the end of the day, we got to make sure the numbers work for what we are trying to accomplish.
Right.
And that's where we need to start at, looking at the numbers, having that budget, and making sure your budget is realistic, making sure there's more coming in than going out. If you don't have more coming in than going out, that means that either you're not paying your bills, your debt is running up, your credit is getting bad, or you're over there swiping everything on credit cards.
Yeah,
and that is
on your means.
Yeah, you know, the keeping up with them Joneses. Joneses. That's what the problem is, and it's like we just simply can't do it. You know, I hope my wife is out there looking at me on your show tonight. But I mean, we've had battles over 15 or 16 years because she's constantly saying, you know, you need to get you some new fresh tennis shoes. I'm like, look here. I'm going to go out and continue adding to those 92 suits and ties I got in my closet because that's what I make my money in. I'm not going out to get no fresh new sneakers. I've never owned a pair of Jordans. And my kids will tell you, ever since 1994, when my daughter became a big-time basketball star in high school, I set a boundary. I'm not paying more than $99 for a pair of shoes ever, not to go out and play no sports in. Now, I was like, if you want the $160 shoes because that's what the team is wearing, I understand that. Here's the first $99. I can't help you after that. And so I invest my money in what's going to help me go make more money. So and so my wife is constantly getting on me, but she's over the years, she's kind of learned. And she understands the value of making sure the numbers add up, making sure more is coming in than going out. Because when you get to that point where you can start getting that passive income, that's when life becomes very beautiful right there. And what I mean by the passive income, that's the mailbox money. That means that we went out and did something, whether it's a piece of real estate, whether we bought some stock or whatever, and now we got that investment over there doing what it does, and it doesn't matter whether we working, whether we sleeping, whether we in the grocery store, on vacation, our checks are coming in steady. And so that's my whole game plan there. I want that passive money coming in so that I can start building wealth and have the opportunity to build up the kind of capital so that I can go out and pursue my kind of passions.
Okay. Well, we got a question from a good friend of mine. She says, Sketches to Design asked the question, should you wait to contribute to your company's 401k until your debt is paid off, or can you do both?
Absolutely not. The first day you are eligible for your 401k plan participation, you need to jump in it right away. If the company has any type of match, don't even ask for them to, don't wait for them to ask you. You go looking for them in HR or wherever, because that's free money you're giving away. So when I talk about that financial foundation and getting steady income coming in, the first thing you need to set up through your employer is, I want to get the health benefits plan.
Right.
I want to get in the 401k plan as soon as possible. And then if you all have any group life insurance, I want to get that. You should do that on day one or the very first day you're eligible, because typically when you participate in a company's 401k plan, there's an employer match. So if you're not in the plan, that's free money that you're losing.
Gotcha. Where it go here? I know Maria mentioned something here. Bring it up, talking about college fund and investing for the youth.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. So, like she said, mentioned, can she get a fund under her kids for the future? Asking for a 7-year-old, which I guess is, what can we do for our youth, for the young ones?
Oh yeah, there are quite a few college funds out there for the youth. The most popular one now is the 529 plan.
Yes,
That's
yeah,
typically for
yeah.
college. Now this might cause some controversy here on your show. So brace yourself here.
Okay,
As a matter of fact, I'm gonna get a swig of water here before I go into this here about this college fund.
I don't wait no controversy. You like, I hope my wife is watching. I'm like, oh Lord,
man,
you call the wife out on the show.
If my wife not watching this show, I'm stopping by Carl's Jr. and getting me a burger tonight on the way home.
Well,
So-
she gonna chime in. I'm sure she chimed in. I probably just didn't see it.
Okay.
I'm gonna say that. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So let me get back over here on this here. Not necessarily the 529 college saving plans, saving for college in general.
Okay.
So this is my personal view, and it's not the general rule of thumb that you're going to hear from probably 99.9% of investment advisors. When it comes to investing in college for your kids, I truly and honestly believe that you do not need to set up a specific fund with your kid's name on it, earmarked just for college, because that child is going to live 17 or 18 years. And by the time they get to that 17 or 18 years, we don't know what they want to do. You know what I'm saying? So, and like for instance, with my kids, it worked out fine for me because I decided early on with my kids that I was going to definitely be a part of their life. And when they got to the 5th grade, I sat down with each one of them and said, hey, you better pick an extracurricular activity because we're going to perfect that and we're going to make sure you work hard to a point where we can try to get you a full-time scholarship. And that's going to be your college savings fund. Now, in the meantime, did I stash money away from my kids' college? I most certainly did. I had mutual funds. I had a brokerage account. I had a savings account. And I managed to stash away a significant amount of money for each one of my kids' college. It just so happens that I stuck to my plan and I got them they got full scholarships, but I worked with them and they got full scholarships. So I've never paid any tuition or books for my kids to go to college. So to get back to the college fund that's earmarked specifically for your kid, what if you spend all those years saving for your kid and then your kid say, well, I don't want to go to college? Or what if they get a full scholarship? Now all of that money that's over in that college fund, if you never use it for college, guess what the tax man going to come back and do?
What's that?
He going to beat you up on it because now I have, $60 or $70, $80,000 set over here in this 529, but my kid don't need it or they not going to college anymore, so I want my money back. So they going to catch you on the backside. And so I clearly say, I'm not saying don't save for your kids' college. I'm saying I think you can save in your own name and just go ahead and pay the ordinary taxes on it as it grow. Gotcha. And then when you get to the fork in the road where the kids decide they don't want to go to college or they got a full scholarship or whatever have you, your money is already there for you to do what you want to do. And so that's what happened with my kids. So that was the deal. Let's work hard from 6th grade all the way through high school. Let's pick a sports. Let's perfect that. Let's market you starting in the 9th grade, and let's go out to all the colleges and make sure we get you a full scholarship. That worked out perfectly for me. So as a reward for them getting those full scholarships, this is what I did. I had already started them on their savings plan in 5th grade.
Right.
By the time they got to 6th grade, I had already gotten them their own bank account with their own debit card, teaching them about money with their allowances and everything.
Right.
So the agreement was if you get a full scholarship when you graduate from college, that money that I have stashed away from you, 10,000 of it is going to be your reward for getting a full scholarship. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take $1,000 and put it in your checking account. You can do whatever you want with that money. I don't care. Throw it up in the air, set it on fire. I'm going to take $4,000 and I'm going to put it in your savings account. And this savings is to build for you to always have a safety net to fall back on. So I don't ever expect to see this $4,000 balance to go down. I expect for you to start pinching off 10% of your allowance and adding to it. So I want to see that $4,000 grow.
Go up, right.
And then what I'm going to do with your other $5,000 is I'm going to take that and I'm going to set you up a mutual fund. And in your mutual fund, that's going to continue to grow, but you're also going to take $50 from your allowance every month, and you're going to contribute that to your mutual fund every month as well. So my kids are all grown. The youngest one is 21, and they all have their own bank accounts. They all have their own savings accounts. They all have their own mutual funds, and when you match them up against their peers, I can promise you it's day and night compared to how they are set up financially.
Right.
And my oldest child, she's 32 this year, I believe. But the youngest two, they're still in school, so they don't even know that they already have credit cards too. So I'm waiting for them to get to their senior year and even introduce them like, yeah, you've had this credit card here for 2 years. It's been sitting in my drawer over here with my car titles and my passports and everything. But when they get to those senior years for college, I'm going to give them the credit card. Each credit card has an $800 line of credit on it. And what I'm going to start telling them to do is every month when you get gas for your car and when you pay your car insurance, I want you to swipe that on your credit card. But the deal is at the end of the month, you need to pay that credit card in full. And so you should always have a zero balance on your credit card also. And so not only have I been teaching them financial responsibility and getting them prepared for the real world with managing money with their checking account and their savings and their mutual fund investment, I've also put them in the position where I'm going to help them build their credit with the credit card, showing that they can responsibly manage your credit. And if you're not aware with credit cards, whatever line of credit they give you, as long as you have less than 30% of that balance outstanding, it'll always help your credit score go up. So, for example, if you have a $1,000 line of credit, as long as your monthly outstanding balance isn't more than $300, that will help improve your credit score.
That's what they call the credit utility, something CUR, credit utilization ratio or something
absolutely,
like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
The minute you get
I know a little bit.
the minute you get to 31% of usage, that means that you're drowning and now you're relying on credit more than your budget. Apparently you don't have more money coming in than going out. And so now that's going to start hurting your credit score.
Okay.
So does that make sense what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, it makes sense. Oh, I think I got something for you, too. I'm going to send it this way. Is this what I think it is?
Who is? Oh, yeah, that's my beautiful wife.
Okay. Well, she here, man. She here.
Yeah.
She watches. She
on. You know I'm a Virgo, and I'm not that affectionate and stuff, so she's always beating me up. So I'm going to steal this opportunity right here to say that's my beautiful Nubian queen. I love her to death. Now, that should give me enough credit through 2023.
I don't know about that one, bro. You here.
Hey, she ain't complaining too much, man. My wife hasn't been to a mailbox in 15 years. She doesn't know what a bill look like. So I think things okay over there with us. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't mad at you. I'm trying to get there.
I've always felt that a woman should always be able to do what she want to do. She should never be starting nothing. She should never be put in a predicament. Hey, a woman should never be put in a predicament where she got to get up and go do what she got to do to survive every day.
He done put a few brothers on blast.
Hey,
I apologize.
My brothers, I ain't with that 50-50 splitting the bills. I could get a roommate to split the bills. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, boy. Andre, in trouble now. You see that? He put us on. Let's get back to the conversation here, right? And I think you touched on this, and we talked about it a lot, man. So even from a very minimal standpoint, is it possible for somebody who makes minimum wage to invest? I just want to clear that out there, right? Because people, I can't afford it, or this is the other, man. But I remember doing a study, and, it was funny when people say they can't afford it, it's all perception, because there are people who are on Skid Row who won't get on the homes, but then they'll spend over $80,000 on dope. You know what I'm saying? So, is it with just from your experience? Is it possible to start investing even at the most minimum basic wage possible?
I believe so. And so my whole thing is when people say they can't afford to invest, my counter always ways is you can't afford not to invest. If you're not investing, you're putting yourself in a predicament to be subjected to whatever the government forces upon you. And so when we get in this conversation about there's not enough money, I can't squeeze anything extra out of my budget to start investing, I'm hopeless. It's the system. They need to increase minimum wages.
Right.
Typically, when I start hearing that, that's when I get very judgmental. So I'm also not politically correct too. So I believe in stereotypes and I believe in judging people. But typically, people that complain about I don't have enough money, I really say let's take a look at your decisions and your personal choices that you made. Because if you're making minimum wages for whatever reason, then the first thing I would ask most brothers out there, well, why is it that you have 4 pair of Jordans? Why do you have rims on your car? Why do you have a gold chain on your neck? And why do you have multiple kids from multiple women? That's probably why you can't afford to invest.
Boy.
And we oftentimes put the cart before the horse.
Gotcha.
So if we made better daily decisions and better choices, then we should always be in a position to invest. Now, I understand life happens and, some things take a turn for the worse and you get in those predicaments. I'm not speaking to that. I'm just speaking generally. I don't care how little money you make, you should always be able to squeeze out $5 and stick in your shoebox under your mattress, because those same people that say that they can't afford to invest, those will be the same people that can figure out how to do that 10% tithe, though. You know what I'm saying? So if you can squeeze out 10% to tithe, let's try to bump that up to 15% and squeeze out an extra 5% for yourself.
I like that. All right. Man, well, let me ask this. And I know we're getting close to time, but we ain't going to worry about that here.
Oh, man, I don't have to be home till 11.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm good with you. There's always a lot of noise out there, man. There's always a lot of people talking, suggesting you do this, you do that. Like I'm not a fan of manipulation, but we are constantly manipulated through social media, through news outlets, through anything, through our friends, family. We are driven by fear, right? Who do we listen to and who do we not listen to when it comes to investing our hard-earned money?
Man, that's a tough one there. And even listening to investment advisors like myself, you have to be careful because, we have social media, the internet is out there. Now we have access to too much information. And anybody with a smartphone and with a Facebook account can get online and start spewing advice to you. So it is very tricky out there. There's a lot of cloudy areas out there, but these are the people here you typically should be cautious of listening to. Okay. And I hope I don't hurt the viewers' feelings here, but starting with your own family, Big Mama. let Big Mama stick to teaching you how to make the dressing and the turkey. Okay. The pound cake that's gonna always come out moist.
Oh yeah.
But Big Mama doesn't know a whole lot about investing. She can tell you what she did with Grandpa to get by back in the 50s and the 60s and everything. Is that really applicable to 2020 and our current situation? Yeah. So oftentimes we get information in our financial education from the wrong people, starting with Big Mama, starting with our older brothers or cousins, that 50-year-old Uncle Tony in the back room that still stay with Big Mama. He always got advice about investing in money and women. But, when you look at his body of work, he really hasn't made it out the house yet. So listening to family, that's a tough one because they're basically telling you what has worked and helped them survive. But is that really the best practice? Is that really the prudent thing for you to do with your particular situation? And that goes back to that analogy I made about driving from here to Las Vegas.
Right.
That guy's going to tell you, yeah, you can get there in 3 hours, don't worry about it. But that's not really
The reality of the
the
situation.
reality of the
Gotcha.
situation. So you got to really be careful listening to family. Then the next thing is you got to be really, really careful listening to the TV personalities. You know, the Susie Ormans, the Dave Ramseys, the Steve Harveys, because they have the platform. They have millions and millions of followers, and they've written all the books, and they have all the seminars and all that stuff. But behind them, there's sponsorship. You know, they're advertisers.
Right.
They have their money tied to that. And so their advice is going to always align with what those sponsors and what those
So they
advertisers.
pretty much driving you to
Absolutely.
a certain. Okay.
They're
gotcha.
driving you over to a product because they want them numbers up, because their cut is based on how many of those units that get moved over there. So you have to be very, very leery of those television personalities as well. And then the last person you should listen to also are the politicians. Politicians are there to appease their constituents, and they want more votes. So a politician is in the business of telling you why your life is miserable, why it didn't turn out the way you thought it should have turned out, what the problem is, and who to blame for it. So when they're out there talking, they're out there just trying to get votes, and they're telling you what they think you want to hear. And so you have to be very leery in those three areas over there. Listening to professional advisors, listening to people that have credentials, that's the best route to go. And then, like I said, trust but verify.
Always.
And our biggest problem in our community and our race of people is that we don't like to read. So you know how that running joke goes. If you want to hide anything from us, put it in a book. So we never want to take the time to read. And I have to attribute a lot of my success in my career, even back in my early youth. For whatever reason, I'm a nerd. My ideal of a great vacation is just sitting home on the sofa with something sweet to drink and just reading through a bunch of fine print, law, the IRS codes, anything that I can learn more about, anything that is relevant to what I'm trying to do, whether it's trying to refinance a home or learning about that whole investment stuff. I go in and read and do all the research and trace it all the way back to its origin. That's my idea of a vacation. So I like to read, but that's the exception to the rule. I'm an outlier. So I kind of read, and that's how I've gotten to the position that I'm in. That's why I'm a financial professional. That's why I've been a CPA, investment advisor, a certified tax preparer, because I like reading all that fine print and putting everything together and working through the nuances and being able to extract out the relevance of what it really means and kind of demystifying it and giving it to everybody else in the plain, simple terms. And that's what we're accustomed to.
Yeah.
We want somebody to give us the short and simple version.
The Cliff Notes version.
But when you give them that Rosetta Stone version, we've gotten more and more slicker, so now we're telling each other what we want them to know and not what the truth is, and that's where a lot of people get tripped up.
Yeah, I said that whole manipulation thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, man. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that took me to my last question of the evening. What are some good resources, for us to actually start to learn? Like what books would you recommend? Any websites for us to go to start that? Because I'm a firm believer that anything you get involved in, you have to, at minimum, learn the language of that, right?
Absolutely.
Like, you can go to Mexico and speak only English, you'll manage, right? But if you knew how to speak Spanish, you can thrive.
Absolutely.
And so I kind of want that to be the mentality. But in your opinion, what would be some good books for us to read to get started in this?
I think when it comes to reading material, I think everyone should start with Wikipedia.
Okay.
Wikipedia is probably the most objective, and when it comes to investments, they have Investopedia.
Because I do.
Those are the most objective. Anytime you get to a book, you have to start thinking about subjectivity. So now there are some great books out there that'll get you on the right path, And I hate to give people these here free plugs, but Rich Dad Poor Dad, that's a great book for someone young starting out. It'll kind of frame your mind to understanding how the economy really works, and the four cash quadrants, and having the right type of mindset to invest for the long haul. But then even on the back end of that kind of go off the rails, because he'll start trying to lean you towards real estate and telling you real estate is the only way to go. But there's some good tenets in Rich Dad Poor Dad. Another great read that I think will help people as well, not specifically geared towards investing, but just having the right frame of mind. It's a book called Outliers.
Okay.
And Outliers is a book that really talks about if you want to be good at anything at all,
you really got to surround yourself with that.
Where you have to kind of make yourself an expert. And the way you make yourself an expert is you have to have on average 10,000 hours of repetition doing something before you can become an expert. So if you take a look at all the people that have dominated that field or that have risen to the top, from Michael Jordan to Bill Gates to Steve Jobs, to all the greats in each and every individual sports, the difference between them is they actually dedicated more time and more effort, and they put in more reps, and so they have more expertise and they have more muscle memory in that specialty that they do.
Gotcha.
And so those two books I really recommend. And then there's some other things that I think people that could help people very quickly as far as investing in particular. So everyone has Netflix or has a password to get on to Netflix. So
they got somebody password,
yeah. If they go into Netflix and then search for Explained and then search for how the stock market works, that's a great 40-minute tutorial, and it'll kind of explain a lot to you. Or then you can Google how the economy works. And then so you'll probably in the first or second thing that pops up, it's about a 55-minute video as well that explain to you about supply and demand, how cash flows, how you generate interest in a product. All that stuff really works. And so if you get your mindset in the right frame of mind, then it would kind of like form and mold you to where you can kind of open up and be able to synthesize a lot of the specific stuff. Man. Trying to just go read the specific stuff without having an open mind, it kind of goes over your head. So the things that I just recommended, they will get you into a mindset where you can open up, and then once the information comes in, you will have a whole bunch of aha moments, Gotcha. So when I go read that specific stuff now, that makes sense, and kind of tie the knots and button everything up and zip everything up into the start making sense. So I hate that you put me in a predicament that I had to give Rich Dad Poor Dad a shameless plug. You need to send me a check, brother.
Oh man, definitely. Oh, so we gotta. Somebody asked the question. Gimme Cornbread said, "Can we start a YouTube channel on this?" And I think the comment came up when we was talking about the fact that your wife ain't been to the mailbox on see what it. I don't know what Gimme Cornbread that she wanted you to start a YouTube channel on finance, or she wants you to get into that whole what a man should treat a woman like. I don't know.
Well,
I'm assuming.
Well, hold on now. I'm not gonna be veering off into no relationships. I'm not gonna be talking about no act like a lady, think like a man, or whatever that is, unless somebody write the check. Now I got a price. If somebody write a check for me to start a relationship, I'm not trying to get in that business. I focus on investment advisement. That's my area of expertise. And so we are already in production with my I Got Sent podcast,
which is the next thing. Yeah.
And I'm over here with the self-employed tax guy, and I'm almost certain that we're gonna be begging and pleading for him to show up over there on our podcast.
Oh man, I would be honored to be
for a few episodes. Yeah. But my business partner Andre Crenshaw, and we're definitely working on that. So the podcast and all the various platforms to include YouTube. That is definitely going to be in the near future, sometimes at the beginning of August of this year.
Okay, yeah, because that was what somebody had asked, or Maria asked, was like, how can you reach him? Does he have IG? So on Facebook, we can either go directly to your name, right?
Yeah, Chyon Simmons. That's CHYON.
Yeah, I put it here. There it is. Put it up there.
Absolutely. And then I also have a page, I Got Sense, on Facebook.
Okay.
And then if you look me up on Instagram or Twitter, it's going to be the same thing, I Got Sense. So I went in and locked up that moniker on everything. I think let me look on the phone here. One of them has underscores in between them. So it'll be like I_got_sense.
Okay.
But on my Instagram, as well as Twitter and Facebook, I Got Sense or Chyon Simmons. And then you can also follow me on LinkedIn as Chyon Simmons. And in my LinkedIn profile, you can actually see all of my credentials and link to my various websites for the businesses that I own as well.
Okay. So man, thank you for that. Oh man, thank you. We got a super chat. Walter donated $10 to the show tonight, man. So I guess he tried to pay you for your plug, right? So we go
high five.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, give him a high five. Absolutely.
Definitely, man. Let's see what else. Who said something? J. Cool gave me said that's what I'm talking about. He said she don't know what a bill look like. # clone him.
You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying, my brother? You know, I'm from the South, man. I'm from the South.
Oh man,
my woman don't have no bills. She just got to deal with me when I get home, and that ain't easy work.
Okay.
You know?
Well, I guess that would be a bill there right there.
Tell me that's an expensive bill dealing with me, man.
Oh man. Well look, I think that's all the questions I have, man. I know we got a lot of comments, everybody tuning in.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the wife, she tuned in, you saw her there.
That's great.
Yeah, man, I can't even believe how much information just within this short amount of time that you've dropped on us, man. It was the catalyst. A lot of questions I got. I know after we end this, I'm gonna have a few more questions to get started in and getting that and budgeting. So just again to summarize everything. One, before we even start, right? Start with our financial foundation. Make sure we good, and once we make sure we good, put up some savings so we can sleep better at night. Like something that give me cornbread that's done, set that freedom, wake up feeling good. Then we start the investment.
Absolutely.
Right at that point, then and the investment doesn't have to be that much.
Doesn't have to be. Just start with $100. If you don't have $100, start stashing away $5, $10, $20 as much as you can, and then accumulate $100.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't take that much. You just have to change the behavior, and that's what I would leave you all with tonight. 3 things, and I've said the first one several times already. Successfully managing your money and investing is 80% behavior, only 20% knowledge.
Man,
we already know what we're supposed to be doing. We just won't do it. Just like I won't put down the sweet tea. Some of us won't put down the potato chips. Some of us won't stop lighting up the cigar. Some of us won't click on the seatbelt. We know better. It's just our behavior. The next thing I would talk about is with your budget, you have to make sure you have more coming in than going out. I know that's easier said than done, but this here whole notion that you deserve to live your best life and you deserve to go on that vacation and you deserve to drive a Benz and you deserve those $900 jeans and you deserve those red bottoms, that's a bunch of foolishness. You're letting all these here celebrities and rappers convince you that you should be living just as good as them. They not even living that good. Half the stuff they doing is a big facade.
Right.
And so stop convincing yourself that live within your means. Stop trying to keep up with the Joneses.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? The next thing I've already said before too, there's nothing emotional about math. The numbers don't lie. If you make $30,000 a year, take some taxes out of that, you know what? You need to set up a budget to live off of about $18,000 a year. It's just that simple.
Right.
It's that simple. You trying to live over in Ladera Heights next to somebody making $150,000, it's just not going to cut it. And then sitting around complaining about they need to increase minimum wages to $60 an hour so you can have enough money coming in. That's crazy talk. That's absolutely crazy talk. And so this is what I'll leave everybody with, and I have this on my note sheet here. Your life is a result of the choices you make. Mm-hmm. If you don't like your life, it's time to start making some better choices. It's just that simple. I tell my clients that. I tell my kids that. And I tell anybody else that's coming to me and complaining about, man, I wish I could be more like you, or man, if it wasn't for this and if it wasn't for that and if it wasn't for that, man, I'm like, I don't want to hear about all those ifs. If I was 6'8", I'd be in the NBA. Who cares? Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm 6 feet and I weigh about 240. I'm qualified to sit over here and do these investments. I'm not dunking no basketball no time soon. I got to come to grips with that.
Right. Man, that's beautiful. I'm going to send these super chats out again. Walter said, he gave you $10. Send the brother this $10 spot,
oh,
man.
Man,
So
I appreciate this love.
So I owe you $10, right? So when we get that, again, another one we got here is from a good friend, Maria. Thank you, right? So give a
high five.
Man, I appreciate all this love they showing you.
Man, I appreciate it. I always tell them don't do it because I don't know how to accept. I just say thank you. I'm like,
man, see, you about to make me get back on these relationships. It took my wife 8 years to teach me how to accept even compliments, because I'm my oldest child. I grew up in a pretty dire circumstance, and I had 2 younger brothers, and we were in and out of other relatives' homes and even the system for a little while. Right. And so I've always been a giver. I'm a giver by nature.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's very difficult for me to accept or receive anything.
Same here.
But it took a good woman by my side to teach me about all those
brownie points.
I'm serious, bro. When I tell you, you talking about you talking about somebody who's the biggest a-hole in the world. That's me, because that's all I really knew. All I really knew how to do is protect and provide for my family, and it took me a long time to just be able to accept a compliment. To even understand that a hug is just because someone loves you and not because somebody expects something from you.
Gotcha. Man, well, I'm learning because these, my peoples are definitely doing sketch to design gave 20. So
high five
on that one.
Man, we must have did somewhat of a good job tonight,
right?
Man.
That's all you. Give me cornbread, gave another.
High five.
High five to that one.
Man, cornbread gonna be on the show next. Cornbread about to be the executive producer in here, man.
And I know the way she going, right?
But she did pay those credit cards off, so her cash flow looking pretty good right now. She out here shining anyway. So
exactly. And then Peachy Dixon says to know better is to do better. So I'm gonna put that one out there because that is absolutely true based on what you have told us and given us, man. And I'm so grateful, to both you and Mr. Crishaw for being here, man. Being the first ever, guest on the live. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. And like I said, I'm always available to come back whenever you want me to.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure, man. Based on the questions, they're going like, hey, we need him back. We got more things we trying to do and trying to learn.
And I've talked to you personally about all the other opportunities I've had from big-time people. At a snap of a finger, if I wanted to, I could go get on the grand stage and be on national television and be that national presence. And like I said, it goes back to I'm more so about actually educating and sharing knowledge. And I'm much I'm much happier being here with a brother like you. That's actually sharing knowledge and giving back to our people, because I don't want to get too deep into it, but we were enslaved people for a long time. And then we woke up one morning and they just said, okay, they making us let y'all go so y'all get. And they just threw us out into the world. We never had an incubation period for our black culture. We don't have no standards. We don't have no rules of engagements. We don't have no way in which we engage each other. So we've spent the last 157 years actually following everybody else's example, chasing everybody else. And so a lot of us are still stuck in that mindset where we have been conditioned that white people's ice get colder than our own ice. And just brothers like you and me being here and trying to share knowledge from a legitimate, credentialed, certified a platform. This is a beautiful thing, and our people need more than this here because there's too many of us out there that are just selling pipe dreams.
Yeah, that's why I don't want to sell nothing. I want mine to be genuine. Take it, use it, do something with it, grow yourself. Yeah,
absolutely. Like I say, my knowledge is always free. I give people consultations for 1, 3, 4 hours, and I say probably 60% of them, after I give them all the knowledge and education, they still go over to the big time investment advisors and get them all the business. But I don't mind that because the few people that I do get through and I help them, and even the ones that take their business elsewhere, they at least got the knowledge, and I think that's the starting point.
Right, I agree.
Like they say, if you want to change the world, you got to start with your own home and just take one step at a time. So being a decent, good brother, taking care of my family and educating my kids and giving them the right education and the right guidance to go out into the world to replicate what I've done. You're doing the same thing. We're mentoring and partnering with the new school like Andre and your son, Christian.
Yeah.
That's the best we can do. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And like I say, we're doing it from the heart because we have passion for it. We're not out here selling anything. We're not trying to push any books. We're not trying to get the big show with ABC. We're not trying to do all that. It's just that we care, and we're giving back and paying it forward. So I mean, I have nothing but love for you, brother, and we're going to continue to do this here.
Yeah, because your resume is extensive, right? If I'm not mistaken, man, you even had the opportunity to counsel or coach or work with, the great Nipsey Hussle in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. He had his committee over there, and they were trying to strategize and put together the numbers and do some things over there in that Crenshaw district. So, I lent some advisement to them as well and pretty much told them the best practices to go forward and get the most bang for their buck. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
absolutely amazing, man. Well, I greatly appreciate you being here. Man, you got nothing but hand claps and everything coming in to you, man. So the family loves you. Everybody's appreciating you.
I appreciate. So now the next time I come, can we coordinate now?
Yeah. I don't know.
Could I dress up a little more?
I think the jeans and T-shirt, like, it's the only reason. Because every time I saw him on the picture, right, he suited and booted. Yeah. On my show, I just got T-shirts on. So I'm like, well, today I'm gonna get all dressed up. And he come here like, hey, I'm ready to get it in.
Well, I mean, if you would have told me that you was gonna roll over 400,000 to me today, I would have came in here in a tuxedo. You know what I'm saying? So I have to put that suit and tie on when I'm going over there transacting people money.
I understand.
And stuff. Okay. But if I'm not doing that, man, I'm just laid back and I like to be under the radar. Okay. And it's one thing my granddad taught me. He was born in 1914. Oh, wow. So he wasn't born into slavery. He was 10 minutes away from it. Only had a second grade education, but it's something that he taught me a whole lot. He was a very, very wise man. Mm-hmm. And so he always taught me that you never, ever beg nobody else to let you spend their money with them. That's profound. Mm-hmm. And so every time I see us protesting, you know what I'm saying? Right. Demanding that they let us in and let us sit at the counter. I'm like, I've always had a different approach. You know what? I'll just make me a bologna sandwich and stand on the side of the road and eat it. But in the meantime, we're going to build our own diner. And we'll sit at our own table. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you, brother. Yes, sir. Man. We could go all night.
Yeah, I told you I talk too much, man. Andre believe I talk too much. My wife definitely thinks I talk too much. All my friends think I talk too much. Well, I told you we could talk till 11 o'clock, man, and we wouldn't have 2 seconds of free air space.
Oh, man. Well, okay, well. We're going to go through 11. We're going to go on the end of now because we already, Almost 30 minutes
Oh
past.
yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
So
messing
no
up.
worries,
I'm
no
messing
worries,
up the
man. So we gonna
platform,
do
man.
this. I'm gonna put the end screen out here, man, and say our piece to the family. Let them know, we thank them for joining us. As always, if you're watching this Facebook, give us a like, give us a share. Again, igotsense.com podcast coming soon. I do we said by August.
Yeah.
We definitely should hit some
Sure,
episodes.
August, absolutely.
Man, make sure you go check him out, check us out. For me, just if you're first time watching, feel free to subscribe, because you'll definitely see me always, and I'm sure he gonna be back again. We may even get Andre to come over here and talk about something. I don't know what he could teach us something. I'm sure, right?
That's a wise young brother.
Yeah. So then after this we gonna talk. We gonna get you on here for something. But anyway, so again, thank you for tuning in. Much love to you. We appreciate you. And any questions, leave comments. I'll make sure that he gets those. For those who are watching the replay, make sure to leave a comment. I'll make sure again that he knows and that we'll get an answer for you. And we'll go from there. To everybody who showed love, just know that we love you even more.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you. And we'll see y'all on the next one.
It was